Joy Ede stood at the front row of the church choir, her voice rising like honey-coated fire as the congregation swayed to the hymn. At only 17, she was the pride of her father, Pastor Ede, and the entire church. People whispered about her beauty, slender, dark-skinned, with bright eyes that seemed to hold both innocence and wisdom. But above all, she was known for her obedience. Joy never questioned rules, never skipped Bible study, and never spoke back to her parents. Yet, deep inside, she sometimes felt suffocated. Her life was a careful script written by her father. Church, school, and home. Nothing more. No parties, no hanging out with classmates, and most definitely no boys. Joy understood the expectations, but as she grew older, curiosity stirred within her heart. What was life like outside these carefully built walls? Could there be something more to her existence than just being the pastor's daughter? The service ended with Pastor Ade booming his favorite line, "Holiness is non-negotiable." The congregation echoed, "Amen." Joy bowed her head respectfully, but a restless thought flickered in her mind. What if holiness and happiness didn't always meet at the same road? She quickly shook it off, afraid even to think such a thing. Little did she know that her world was about to change, and temptation was already waiting for her, sitting at the back of the church, smirking at her every move. Toby leaned lazily against the school gate, his shirt untucked, a toothpick dancing between his lips. Everyone at Emmanuel High knew him. He was trouble, the kind that teachers dreaded and parents warned their children about. His record was filled with fights, skipped classes, and late-night escapades. But somehow, Toby had that dangerous charm that drew people in. Joy first noticed him at morning assembly. While the rest of the students stood at attention, Toby strolled in 10 minutes late, completely unbothered. The principal's scolding bounced off him like rain on a roof. Most girls whispered about his bad boy aura, some secretly crushing on him, others warning each other to stay away. Joy told herself she was firmly in the second group. But when their eyes met, just for a fleeting second, something unexplainable tugged at her chest. His smirk widened as though he could read her thoughts. She quickly looked away, clutching her hymn book tighter, whispering a prayer under her breath. That night, she couldn't stop replaying the moment. Why did I even look at him? He's the kind of boy Daddy always preaches against. She convinced herself it meant nothing. But deep down, she already knew this was the beginning of something she couldn't pray away. "Joy, you need to be careful," whispered Chica, her best friend, as they shared lunch under the mango tree. "I saw how Toby was staring at you during assembly. That boy is dangerous." Joy laughed nervously. "Chica, please, do you think I'd ever fall for someone like him? My father would disown me." But Chica wasn't convinced. She leaned closer. "I know you, Joy. You're curious, and boys like Toby, they know how to take advantage of girls like you. Please, don't even let him near you." Joy promised she wouldn't. Yet, when she walked past the classroom block later, she found Toby leaning by the wall, humming an Afrobeat tune. His eyes locked onto hers again, and this time he winked. Her heart skipped before she hurried away, cheeks burning. That night, she prayed harder than usual. "Lord, keep me from temptation," she whispered, clutching her Bible. But the more she prayed, the more her mind drifted back to Toby's smile. The next day, Toby arrived late from mathematics again. The teacher, Mr. Bello, lost his patience. "Get out of my class, you good-for-nothing boy," he thundered. Instead of leaving, Toby leaned on Joy's desk, grinning. "Sir, I was just admiring how smart your brightest student looks when she's solving equations." The class erupted in laughter. Joy's face burned with embarrassment, but she also felt a strange thrill. Mr. Bello barked at him until he finally left, still smirked as he walked out. For the rest of the lesson, Joy struggled to concentrate. Why had he singled her out? Was it just a joke? Or was there something more? Later in the corridor, Toby brushed past her and whispered, "You're different from the rest. I'll prove it." Then he was gone, leaving Joy shaken. She told herself it was foolishness, yet her heart beat wildly all the way home. By the weekend, Joy was restless. Every sermon from her father seemed directed at her. Flee youthful lusts. Evil company corrupts good manners. Each word pierced her conscience like an arrow. Still, her mind wandered back to Toby's eyes, his words, his fearless attitude. She caught herself daydreaming while doing chores. Chica noticed it too. "Joy, I'm warning you for the last time. Don't let that boy into your head," she scolded. But it was too late. A seed of curiosity had already been planted, and though Joy tried watering it with prayer and obedience, temptation has a way of growing in silence. That evening, she opened her diary and wrote for the first time about Toby. She didn't write his name, just, "There's someone I should not think about, but I can't stop. Lord, help me." What Joy didn't know was that Toby had already made up his mind. He wasn't just going to flirt, he was determined to make the pastor's daughter his. It was a bright Monday morning when Joy decided to stay back after class to complete her assignment. The classroom was almost empty, only the sound of chalk scratching on the board as the cleaner updated the timetable. She thought she was alone until a low voice startled her. "You like reading too much," Toby said from the back, swinging his legs on a desk. Joy's heart nearly stopped. "What are you doing here?" she whispered, glancing nervously at the door. He grinned. "Relax. I'm not here to fight anyone. I just wanted to see you." Joy gathered her books, ready to leave, but Toby blocked her path. His cologne, something sharp and unfamiliar, wrapped around her. "Why do you always avoid me? Do I scare you that much?" he asked, eyes narrowing. Joy swallowed hard. "I'm not avoiding you. I don't want trouble." Toby leaned closer, his voice low. "Sometimes trouble is the only thing that makes life exciting." Joy ran out before she could reply, but the sound of his words lingered, replaying in her mind long into the night. By Tuesday, whispers were spreading through the school like wildfire. Some students claimed they saw Joy and Toby talking after class. Others exaggerated the story into something scandalous. Chica pulled Joy aside during break. "People are saying you like Toby. Please tell me it's not true." Joy's face burned. "It's not like that. He just spoke to me." "Spoke to you?" "Joy, you know how rumors grow wings. Before you know it, the entire church will hear of this." But deep inside, Joy wasn't just worried about the gossip. She was worried about herself, about the strange fluttering in her chest whenever she thought of Toby. She told herself it was just curiosity, nothing more. Still, she couldn't deny that the idea of being connected to him, even by rumor, sparked something thrilling inside her. Later that evening, as she sat in choir rehearsal, she caught herself humming the same Afrobeat tune Toby had been whistling. She stopped suddenly, fear crawling up her spine. Was she losing herself already? That Sunday, Pastor Ade's voice thundered through the church. His sermon title, "The Dangers of Ungodly Company." "Children of God," he boomed, "the devil is roaming around, using bad friends to destroy destinies. Young girls must be careful of boys who dress rough, talk rough, and live rough. They are instruments of destruction." The congregation shouted, "Amen!" But Joy froze in her seat. Was her father speaking directly to her? Did he somehow know? Throughout the service, she couldn't look up. Each word pierced deeper into her conscience, yet instead of extinguishing her thoughts about Toby, it only magnified them. She scribbled notes mechanically, her mind elsewhere. After service, her mother smiled proudly. "Joy, You are blessed to have such a father. I know you'll never disappoint us." Joy forced a smile, but guilt gnawed at her insides. She wanted to be the perfect daughter. She wanted to obey. But why did temptation feel so much stronger than her prayers? A week later, during sports practice, Joy accidentally tripped on the field. Her books scattered and a group of boys nearby burst out laughing. One of them shouted, "Pastor's daughter can't even run without falling." Before Joy could react, Toby appeared out of nowhere. He grabbed the mocking boy by the collar and snarled, "Say that again and you'll swallow your teeth." The boy backed off quickly, muttering apologies. Joy sat frozen, torn between gratitude and fear. When Toby offered his hand to help her up, she hesitated, but eventually she took it, her palm trembling in his. "Don't let people treat you like that," Toby said firmly, his eyes burning into hers. For a moment, the world around them disappeared. Joy felt safe, protected, even cherished. But reality rushed back when she saw Chica watching from across the field, her face filled with warning. Joy quickly pulled her hand away and walked off, heart pounding. That night, she wrote in her diary, "He defended me today. I should be angry, but I'm not. Why do I feel this way?" Joy couldn't focus in class anymore. Each time she opened her textbook, she saw Toby smile. Each time she bowed her head in prayer, she heard his voice. One afternoon, Chica confronted her again. "Joy, you're slipping. I see the way you look at him. Don't forget who you are." Joy sighed heavily. "I don't know what's wrong with me. He's everything I should avoid, but I can't stop thinking about him." Chica shook her head. "That's how it starts. Today it's thoughts, tomorrow it's secrets, and before you know it, your whole life is upside down." Joy tried to brush it off, but the warning stayed with her. That evening, she knelt beside her bed, tears streaming down her face. "God, please take this feeling away. I don't want to disappoint my family. I don't want to fall." But as she cried, she realized something frightening. She wasn't sure she wanted the feelings to go away at all. Pastor Ade announced a week-long revival crusade in the city. The church buzzed with preparations, posters, rehearsals, and fervent prayers. Joy was placed in charge of coordinating the youth choir, which meant late nights and constant supervision. To everyone, she seemed dutiful and focused, but inside, her thoughts were scattered. On the first night of the crusade, she spotted Toby standing outside the church gates, leaning on his motorbike. He didn't enter, but he watched her, eyes locked, as if challenging her faith. Joy sang louder than ever that night, trying to drown out the pull she felt toward him. But as she raised her voice in worship, she couldn't help asking herself, was she praising God, or was she trying to prove something to the boy outside? After choir practice, Joy found a folded piece of paper in her hymn book. Her heart raced as she opened it. "You don't belong in their perfect world. You belong with me, Toby." Joy nearly dropped the letter in fear. Who had seen him slip it there? What if her father found it? She quickly tore it into pieces, stuffing them deep into her bag. But that night, alone in her room, she fished the scraps out and pieced them together again. Her hands shook as she traced his words. She knew she should throw them away, yet something inside her refused. That simple message, dangerous as it was, made her feel seen in a way her flawless life never did. During lunch break, Toby did the unthinkable. Standing boldly in the cafeteria, he strummed a guitar and began to sing, a playful Afrobeat tune with Joy's name woven into the lyrics. Students erupted in laughter, cheering him on. Joy sat frozen, her cheeks burning, wishing she could vanish. When he winked at her mid-song, she grabbed her tray and fled. By the time she reached home, the story had already spread. Chica called in panic. "Joy, he's sang for you in front of everybody. Do you know what this means? You're officially the school gossip now." Joy buried her face in her pillow. Shame and secret joy battled in her chest. She prayed for the ground to swallow her whole, but another part of her couldn't stop smiling. One evening, Chica shared what she had discovered. "Do you know why Toby is the way he is? His father abandoned the family. His mother sells vegetables at the roadside. He's been fighting to survive all his life." Joy listened quietly, a knot forming in her stomach. Suddenly, Toby's anger, his rebellion, even his rough edges began to make sense. He wasn't just a bad boy, he was a boy wounded by life. That night, she wrote in her diary, "Maybe I judged him too quickly. Maybe there's more to him than what everyone sees." But the thought frightened her. She was beginning to justify feelings she once prayed away. At church the next Sunday, Pastor Ade preached passionately about resisting temptation. Satan doesn't come with horns. He comes looking charming, sweet, and persuasive. Young people, beware. Joy felt the weight of his words crushing her chest. She kept her head bowed, afraid her father might see the guilt written on her face. But when she glanced sideways, she saw Toby standing at the back of the church, leaning against the wall. Her heart skipped. Was he mocking her faith? Or was he searching for something too? That question haunted her the rest of the day. Against her better judgment, Joy allowed herself to talk to Toby more. At first, it was small exchanges in the corridor. Then, longer conversations at the back of the library. Before long, she found herself waiting to see him. He wasn't what she expected. Beneath the arrogance, he was funny, intelligent, and unexpectedly gentle. He made her laugh, a kind of laughter she hadn't experienced in her sheltered life. But each smile felt like a betrayal. She knew she was walking a dangerous path. Still, every time she resolved to stay away, her heart betrayed her. Joy had never missed youth fellowship before, but that Friday evening, instead of attending, she slipped away to meet Toby at a quiet spot near the football field. "You're brave," he teased when she arrived out of breath. "No, I'm foolish." But when he reached out and brushed a strand of hair from her face, her body trembled. For the first time in her life, she wasn't the pastor's daughter. She was just Joy, young, vulnerable, and in love with the wrong boy. On her way back home that night, Joy ran into her father driving past. His car slowed as he rolled down the window. "Where are you coming from at this hour?" Her throat went dry. "Choir practice ran late," she lied quickly. Pastor Ade narrowed his eyes but said nothing more. Joy's heart hammered as she entered the house. It was too close. One slip and her carefully guarded secret would explode. Yet instead of retreating, she found herself more drawn to Toby than ever. One afternoon, a group of older boys cornered Joy on the way home, mocking her for her perfect church girl act. Just as things turned ugly, Toby appeared, fists clenched. He fought them off single-handedly, his knuckles bruised but his eyes blazing with fury. "No one touches her," he growled, pulling Joy behind him. Joy's chest swelled with gratitude. But as she pressed a cloth to his bleeding hands later, fear crept in. He had risked himself for her. What would happen if her father ever found out? Joy stood at a crossroads. On one side was her family, her church, her faith, and the perfect image she was expected to uphold. On the other was Toby, flawed, reckless, yet honest in a way no one else dared to be. That night, she knelt to pray but couldn't form the words. Tears slid down her cheeks as she whispered, "Lord, why him? Why not someone safe, someone approved?" The silence in her room felt heavy, but deep inside, she knew the truth. She had already given Toby a piece of her heart. The week-long revival crusade had turned the church into a battlefield of prayers and songs. Thousands attended, and Pastor Aday's reputation soared. Joy sang passionately every night, her voice touching hearts, but inside she was conflicted. One evening, as the altar call was made, she glanced outside the tent and saw Toby. He wasn't mocking this time. He looked strangely curious, even lost. Their eyes met, and she felt a shiver run through her. For a brief moment, she wondered, could God be calling him too, or was he only here for me? Joy poured her heart into her diary. "I know it's wrong, but I can't stop. He is not just a bad boy, he's broken, and something in me wants to fix him. Is that love, or is it sin?" She hid the diary carefully, but the words haunted her. The more she wrote, the more her feelings deepened. Her diary became her only safe space, her secret witness to a love she couldn't confess aloud. For the first time, Toby invited Joy to his neighborhood. The dusty streets, the cracked walls, the smell of roasted corn and petrol filled the air. "This is where I live," he said with no shame. His mother, weary but kind, welcomed Joy warmly. She saw a different side of Toby there, a protective son, a helper, not the reckless boy everyone whispered about. Walking back, Joy felt her heart swelling with compassion, but she also knew if her father ever found out she had been in Toby's house, the consequences would be devastating. When Joy returned home late, Pastor Ade asked why. She opened her mouth and lied. "Extra choir practice." The words rolled off too easily, and guilt pricked her heart. She had never lied to her parents before. That night, she couldn't sleep, tossing in bed, praying for forgiveness. But when she thought of Toby's smile, she told herself the lie was worth it. For the first time in years, Joy's test results weren't perfect. The principal called her into the office, shocked at her decline. "Joy, this isn't like you. Is something wrong at home?" She shook her head, promising to improve. But the truth was clear. Her mind was no longer on books alone. It was divided between equations and stolen glances, between obedience and rebellion. She could notice too. "Joy, this isn't you. He's changing you, and not for the better." The Joy only smiled weakly, unable to admit she no longer wanted to be the perfect girl everyone expected. At dinner, Pastor Ade observed his daughter quietly. She laughed less, prayed less, and seemed distracted. "Joy," he said sternly, "is there something you need to tell me?" Her fork trembled in her hand. "No, Daddy, everything's fine." But his sharp eyes weren't convinced. He resolved to keep a closer watch. Meanwhile, Joy felt the walls closing in around her. How long before her secret unraveled? One afternoon, Chica confronted Joy again. This time, her tone was sharper. "You're not listening to me, Joy. If you keep going down this road, you'll lose everything." "Chica, please, you don't understand," Joy pleaded. But Chica shook her head sadly. Later, unable to hold the burden anymore, she confided in a teacher about Joy's closeness with Toby. She thought she was protecting her friend, but her words would set off a chain of events neither of them could stop. The principal summoned Pastor Ade to school. Sitting across from him, the principal cleared his throat. "Sir, there are troubling rumors about your daughter being involved with Toby." Pastor Ade's face darkened with fury. "Impossible. My daughter knows better." But the evidence, students' whispers, teachers' concerns, was undeniable. Joy was called in, trembling, her eyes downcast. She denied nothing, but admitted nothing. To her father, silence was as good as guilt. That night, Pastor Ade thundered through the house. "Joy, have I raised you in the fear of the Lord only for you to throw it away for a useless boy?" Tears streamed down Joy's face. "Daddy, he's not useless. You don't know him like I do." Her words only fueled his anger. "As long as I live, you will never see that boy again," he roared, slamming his fist on the table. For the first time in her life, Joy felt something break inside her. She wasn't just the obedient daughter anymore. She was a girl in love, and love was demanding her to fight back. The punishment was swift. Joy's phone was confiscated, her movements restricted, and she was ordered to attend only school and church. Pastor Addie made it clear, no excuses, no mercy. In her room, Joy wept bitterly, hugging her diary to her chest. "God, why does love feel like a sin? Why do I feel like my heart is being torn apart?" But even in her confinement, she knew one thing with certainty. This wasn't the end. If anything, her father's wrath only made her resolve stronger. Somehow, some way, she would see Toby again. Kindly check out for part 2. Thanks for watching.